What's up, everybody? I want to tell you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting Anchor on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download Anchor, the app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. And I'm a veteran, so let's hear some more military cadences. What's up, family? Here we are back again, living in the land of the free. Psych. Let's see what's up. What is up here? Brady is retiring again. He's retiring again. He should have stayed retired. Could be possible that we'll see if Giselle takes him back after his announcing his retirement again. I pretty much believe that maybe that is why. So some woman is charged with finding a lookalike online and killing her to fake her own death. This lady, why did she do that? She was a German woman. She's accused of murdering a lookalike she found on Instagram in an elaborate attempt to fake her own death. The alleged perpetrator, identified as 23-year-old Shabron K., killed beauty blogger Khadija O., also 23, in Germany last August. She had brutally stabbed her more than 50 times with her body left in the back seat of her Mercedes. When the body was found, the police traced the car to registration to the Shabron family. Given the corpse had been disfigured, investigators assumed she was the victim. However, a subsequent autopsy uncovered that the actual victim was the Khadija lady, prompting an investigation into the Barr case dubbed the doppelganger murder by German media. This week, she was charged with murder, and prosecutors saying she trawled Instagram in a bid to find a victim who matched her physical appearance. My thing is, why was she trying to what was she trying to get away from? That's interesting. Let's see. What else is the world crying about today? Lawyers for Hunter Biden have sent letters requesting investigations into allies of former President Trump, who they say trafficked his stolen laptop. Hunter Biden. Look, Hunter was kicking it on that. The death of a double amputee wielding a large knife who was shot by police in Huntington Park, California, has sparked a national outcry against the use of force on a disabled person. Yeah, what was the dude gonna do, though, for real? Let's see. A man brandishing a firearm shot 3 people, killing 1 in a Wednesday morning rampage in Washington, D.C. that started on a city bus and ended in Metro Tunnel. Let's see. Supposedly, Biden and McCarthy had a good first meeting. The group of Latino lawmakers in Connecticut have proposed the state follow Arkansas's lead and ban the word Latinx. They take it as offensive. So, that whole term, I don't even know who came up with it. It is interesting. Let's see. FBI is still investigating George Santos and his alleged GoFundMe scheme for the veteran's dying dog. Santos, that dude, he's done it all, hasn't he? He has done it all. Let's see what else that I saw on this app. Dr. Phil will stop airing after the end of its current season. Spraying the Men's been on for 21 years. This fake doctor has been on for 21 years. I'm going to give you a Black history fact today. So Aunt Polly was an escaped enslaved woman who worked as an agent in the Underground Railroad, helping others escape. She was known for fighting off slave catchers and butcher knife in a kettle of boiling hot water. Aunt Polly wasn't no joke. She was fed up with the harsh and inhumane treatment that was made out to her even in her old age, and she decided to escape freedom. She decided to escape via the Underground Railroad. She escaped and ended up in the North, settling in Ohio in a settlement known as Africa, a settlement of escaped African Americans who had been offered land to settle. The settlement was also the Underground Railroad route, and fugitives could decide to stay or continue up north after resting. Anti-abolitionist Aunt Polly was offered land and settled in Africa, starting a small farm to sustain herself. As they escaped, fugitives often passed through her land. She witnessed various attacks by anti-abolitionists, realizing that they were not being held by any external means. Aunt Polly decided to take matters into her own hands to protect, rescue, and help runaway slaves. She dressed herself up as a weak old lady and would not be attacked, for the anti-abolitionists. Older people were of no interest and often left alone. She carried a cloth which she wrapped around her shoulders to hide her butcher knife and a kettle of boiling water. So she was out there with it. That's right. That's going to be me. Don't sleep on me when I get old, because I'm going to still be out there with it. Let's see what else we got today in the news. The man that Kyle Rittenhouse killed, they have a wrongful death suit coming, so sure he might have to pay some money. We shall see. I'm pretty sure though. See what else we got. I wanted to talk about this Eagles lineman, but I might have to go search for it because it disappeared. He was accused of rape. Yeah, Josh Seals, he's been indicted on rape and kidnap charges right before the Super Bowl. He's a backup offensive lineman for the NFC Championship. Eagles has been indicted on rape and kidnapping charges that stem from an alleged incident in Ohio just over 3 years ago. Authorities said Wednesday Seals, an undrafted free agent who was on the inactive list in Philadelphia's conference title victory over San Francisco on Sunday, was indicted on Tuesday by a grand jury in Ohio. The rookie who played at West Virginia and Oklahoma State was ordered to appear in court in Ohio on the 16th of February, 4 days after the Eagles are to play Kansas City Chiefs. His attorney said the allegations are false and that Seals will be aggressively defended. Seals is listed as backup and played in just one game this season. He has been on the inactive list for much of the year. The organization is aware of the legal matter involving Josh Seals. We have been in communication with the league office and are in the process of gathering more information. We have no further comment at this time, the Eagles said in a statement. The NFL has placed Seals on the commissioner exempt list, meaning he cannot take part in the practices or game or travel with the Eagles. The indictment accuses Seals, who is from Saraville, Ohio, of engaging in sexual activity that was not consensual and holding a woman against her will in 2019. A statement issued by Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost said the incident was immediately reported and that the county sheriff's office conducted a detailed investigation. So yeah. Wondering why this is just making news since it happened back in 2019. It's my question. Just inquiring mind want to know. Let's see here. So 3 Michigan rappers disappeared after Detroit performance was canceled. This is a mind-boggling disappearance of 3 aspiring Michigan rappers, has many on the edge and desperate for answers. This mystery began the morning of January 21st. On this day at around 11 a.m., upcoming artist Armani left his home in Ascot and headed to Detroit, where he was slated to perform with associates Montoya Givens and Dante Wicker at Lounge 31 that night. Kelly would phone around 5 to inform his family that the venue canceled the gig due to equipment issues. He told his loved ones he was planning to see friends and find another location willing to let him perform. His mother, Lori Kim, became worried when she hadn't heard from her son the following day and his phone was shut off. She was able to track his gray Chevrolet Equinox in Warren, just 15 miles away from downtown Detroit. On January 23rd, they collected the abandoned vehicle, which was found and covered in mud and missing its license plates. Kelly reportedly picked up Givens and Warner on the way to the show before learning that it was canceled. Wicker hails from Melvindale, while Givens is a resident of Detroit. Their phones were powered off and around the same times as Kelly, and neither man has been accounted for. Detroit Police Commander Michael McGinnis says it's very alarming for 3 men to go missing simultaneously. Family members of the friend are also suspecting the worst. Kelly's mother believes that her son has been met with foul play. As much as I love him and want him to be okay, I just want to take him home so we can lay him down to rest. So that is pretty sad. Let's see. So Arion Foster claimed the league was scripted. Let's see what he says here.
Arian was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker. Mm-hmm. And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started? Or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We were really dedicated to it. So it was more so like, that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script.
I'm just looking at these comments because somebody said it's clickbait. Because they said he's making up stuff.
This is what goes on.
No!
A lot of people do believe it's scripted, but some people are saying it's clickbait.
Dear Baller Alert, I have...
Interesting. Let's see here. What else we got here? Before we get to the one night stand from hell, California man who intentionally drove car off cliff, family inside, charged with attempted murder. How can that man go back? How can his wife forgive him? I bet you she would. I think we're gonna jump into our stories because everything else is kind of getting repetitive news that I've seen. Beyonce is going on tour. I don't know how I feel about that because her tickets are going to be extremely expensive, and like Beyonce, it's a recession, ma'am. You should be giving people streaming for free. It's Black History Month. Alright, let's get into this date from hell that someone wrote into Baller Alert about. Let's see here.
Together, and I know his ex, but the physical part. Dear Baller Alert, I had my first official date from heaven and hell.
Oh.
It started all different than normal, a one-night stand. We agreed that it shouldn't have happened because we worked together, and I know his ex, but the physical part just kept happening. We agreed after the 8th or 9th encounter to try a date night situation. And after Everything I expected to happen, happened. Shaking my head. He was just so ghetto with no manners. I can't even imagine how we got here. Here's my issue. His sex is everything, but I simply cannot be with this man out in public. How do I get out of this and over this? Please help.
They had sex that many times?
Oh,
Girl,
yeah.
y'all go together.
She sound like she from the suburbs and she got some ghetto pee now.
Make a brother want to sing to you.
She wants to fuck on him, but
Say
don't want to be
that.
outside with
She
him.
don't want to
That's
get,
what I'm
cause I don't know
saying.
no man that ain't down for that.
Dear Baller Alert, I had my first official.
Well. I have to agree. Let's get into my other story times. Let's see what I picked for you guys tonight. I always like my brain, I never remember. But let's see what we got.
Anthony thinks that most married people are, quote, miserable and that people don't want to get married anymore. Wrong. She'll divorce ass. She'll sound divorced. But she sound like the person that got kicked out the party. You were in that party for 11 years and now all of a sudden the party was whack. You know the Wileyism. For every relationship that ends, you spend half of that time breaking up. I will say this to your point. It's a lot of work. Training camps, yeah, it's miserable. Did I quit the team? No. You're getting married for yourself in that relationship first. But your ass better stay married for the kids. Let me tell you why. Because those kids are the recreation of yourself, but in a potentially greater form. Divorce has you on a schedule where 1 week, you all in. The other week, part-time mama, part-time daddy. And it's just sad to see the concept of family is decaying. I don't think that most married people are miserable. I think most married people are working on it, and some are going to fail.
So yeah, I think Lala is hating too, because how do you like end in divorce and then get on this whole married people are miserable? Dating, I see single people miserable too. I mean, you can say tomato, honestly, but yeah, it does take work. Mary Jane for no punks.
Days was found in a trash bin. She's alive because of the DeKalb County sanitation workers who spotted her before she was crushed. Channel 2's Taisha Fernandez, live in DeKalb County where it happened. And Taisha, these workers were startled, of course, when they first saw her.
Karen, they literally could not believe their eyes as they were picking up trash on this street. Thank goodness they were so alert and communicated with each other, because we could have been telling a much different story.
It just really, like, they could have just been my sister, anybody, you know what I'm saying? So they just really feel good that we was the ones that saved her.
When these three DeKalb County sanitation workers showed up to the job back on October 4th, they thought it was just a regular day. But when they scooped up a trash can here on the 6700 block of Old Covington Road in Stonecrest, the bin felt heavier than the rest.
I dumped it, body came out, so I'm thinking, I went to the driver, I'm like, man, there's a dead body back there, so.
I saw her come out, he didn't really react until I reacted. It was like, whoa, I backed up. I noticed it was a little girl back there.
A little girl who had been missing for 3 days. If these workers didn't notice her when they did, she probably wouldn't be alive today.
But once they brought it to my attention, I initially shut off the truck. Because once I had stepped on the gas, it would automatically crush her instantly.
In this case, these three men were frontline workers, even first responders for this little girl. They'll never forget this day or that little girl.
We were just glad that the situation wasn't too crazy. You know, everybody was safe and sound. You know, that was the most important part of this whole situation. We're just glad the little girl, she got back to her family and, you know, everything's straight.
Those workers told us today that they are humbled by all of the recognition, even the interview that they had with us today. If you see them, make sure you tell them thank you. We're live in DeKalb County. Taisha Fernandez, Channel 2 Action News.
They are here.
Shout out to those.
Hey guys, the IRS is getting ready to give out a lot of money, $14.8 billion to be exact. Let me tell you how. So do you guys remember during the pandemic when everybody was on unemployment? So they had came out with a rule in March saying like, hey, we're going to give it up to the states to decide whether or not they're going to tax unemployment. But a lot of taxpayers had already processed their tax returns. So the IRS had to go back and correct 12 million refunds. Get ready for some money in your bank account.
I'm waiting.
What makes you think that you can have two niggas at one time?
What makes the nigga think that he can have two bitches at one time?
Because we niggas, we men.
Same shit.
No, it's not.
Say we break up for that year or whatever, I may have a nigga and I may have a side nigga too. Like, shit, you cannot trust these people.
So it's okay for women to have side niggas?
But when a motherfucker really be playing with you or some shit like that, yeah. If you want to have fun, I'm going to have mine too. When you ready to come inside, I'm going to come inside too. I got to have backup.
Because if I found out, let me explain this. Because if I found out that my main chick had a side nigga, you know, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just let you go.
You can break up with her. You can work it out with her.
Work it out. Ain't no coming back from...
What? So it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for me to do it? Stop making these standards. Who made them?
I don't know who made them, but that's just the way it is.
That's not what it is. Sometimes women will stick around with the nigga after he's done her so wrong until somebody better comes along.
Mm-hmm. And then you keep both of them.
No, you might break it off with your old nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Or you might keep both of them.
This shit ain't right.
Well, stop playing these fucking games. If you don't want to play the game, don't start it.
I'm done playing games.
Women can be faithful.
Women are starting to act like the men, and the men don't like it very much at all.
Watch a video together and then chat about it. When I feel like I was a good mom and did everything I can to show my kids I loved them and be there for them, and why does this generation of kids just turn their back on their parents? Like, I would never treat my parents the way some of the things have been said to me from my kids, and I don't understand it, and it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. My friends, patients that I see at work, you know, story after story after story after, you know, my daughter doesn't talk to me, my son doesn't talk to me, like, just so much entitlement these days, and it's just so flippin' heartbreaking. Like, it was so much easier when the kids were little. Like, I just didn't think that my life would be where it's at 50. I love my kids, but why is it this hard? Why, where's the respect at for parents and appreciation for all they've done for you your entire life? Like, I don't get it. Concept of no contact has been going around a lot lately, and so I want to answer this question genuinely as a therapist who sees a lot of clients who have got no contact. I think one of the largest things to recognize as a parent of an adult child is generational differences. So for starters, people who are in their 50s, 60s plus who have adult children grew up in a generation where it was very common for children to be seen, not heard, and respect equated to just acquiescing to whatever your parents kind of wanted. Respect often meant you didn't have boundaries, whereas mental health now is and continues to be a large conversation. Relationships with family members are one of the only relationships in which people are encouraged to make amends with people who have been abusive towards them, who have manipulated them, who consistently cross their boundaries, etc. And as a therapist, what I often hear in these situations is that from the child's perspective, there's been multiple attempts to repair the relationship, to explain the behaviors that are hurtful and harmful, yet the behaviors continue. Or there just isn't the safety or the space to have that discussion in the first place. Another thing is that in terms of gratitude for the parent taking care of them or just, you know, creating them, I think that is often seen to be synonymous with, I will have a relationship with you forever. Someone can be grateful for their life, for their parents, for the efforts that have been made, but also decide that a relationship is not for them. And that isn't to take away from the fact that I imagine that it's very hurtful for parents. And at the same time, what also exists is that it's hurtful typically for the child to go no contact as well. But while it's typically hurtful for the child to make that decision, it's also often safer from their perspective to make that decision. I think it's important to come to these conversations with the sense that you are not entitled to a relationship with your child just because you birthed them. It is something that you have to earn and continuously work at. And that goes both ways.
I definitely agree on both ends. Kids are entitled to feel how they feel. My children speak with me. But I have went no contact with like a step parent, so I get it, because sometimes peace of mind is worth more. So I get every side.
If a woman pulls away from you, especially if you haven't done anything, if you haven't disrespected her, you haven't cheated, and she starts to pull her attention away from you, you absolutely cannot go chasing her. She pulls back, you have to pull back, and you do not reach out to her. What you need to do is you go the other way. When she go this way, you go that way. Period. That's the only way a woman will see that you're not with the bullshit. If you go chasing her, if you go trying to reason with her, now she has a tool in her arsenal to get what she needs from you, or to get things right when she feel like shit ain't going her way, or when she feel like she need to manipulate you or not be held accountable. She knows that she can use this and it's going to affect you. You have to go the other way. And when they come back, you let them know, hey, listen, I'm not with the bullshit. I'm not with that flaky shit. I'm not with all of that hot and cold shit. You're going to either shit or you're going to get off the pot. And when you get off that pot, you're going to have to stay off that pot. There's no coming back.
Wow.
Hospital.
So your cousin brought an at-home DNA test.
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay, but the baby wasn't at home yet, right?
no,
He was
ma'am.
still in the
He was still in the
hospital.
hospital. He was in the NIC.
For a whole month.
And I swabbed him like the first.
In the NIC unit?
Yes, ma'am.
They let you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
He was only 2 days born.
So the baby was 2 days old and you bought a home DNA test and went into the intensive care unit.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did the nurses and the doctor say?
Well, she said that it wouldn't be all is that accurate and whatnot, but she said some of the tests work, some of the tests don't. And
She advised us not to do it.
I did it anyway.
And you knew he was going to do it?
Yes, I was there when he did it. He wanted to do it, so I'm like, okay, because I was sure. I'm like, okay, he's the father. I want to let him do it. But the nurses was like, oh, well, we wouldn't advise you to do that. Wait till he's a little bit older.
I
So
got
the nurses
evidence
told.
for the
Let me
test
see
also.
that evidence, Jerome. So these are the results of your at-home test.
Yes, ma'am.
It says probability of paternity 0%. What did you think then?
That's still my baby.
You did.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Smith, you say you don't believe this test was accurate?
I don't believe that. Because I feel like he was born early, and the nurse advised us not to do it. So that's why I don't believe that it's accurate. And I want to get another one done.
But you just wanted to know right
I want
away.
to know, and I want to know also for the baby. I feel like he deserves the truth regardless.
Yes, he does. You're right. You still believe he's your biological son in your heart,
Yes, ma'am.
even though the probability of paternity on this test was 0%.
Correct.
And that's why you're here.
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Smith, you're convinced as well. You truly believe this is Mr. Brooker's child.
Yes.
All right. I think it's time for the results. Jerome, be in below. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Smith v. Brooker, as it pertains to 4-month-old Lamontre Brooker, Mr. Brooker, do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Smith v. Brooker, as it pertains to 4-month-old Lamontre Brooker, Mr. Brooker, you are not his father. I'm sorry to have to deliver that news.
It's okay. I'm still gonna be there.
Miss Smith, what are you feeling right now?
That was not what I was hoping.
It's all right, baby.
I'm really proud of how mature you all have been through this situation. It has been confusing. And Mr. Brooker, I cannot say enough how much I commend you for being a stand-up guy and just stepping up to the plate despite the confusion. All right, I wish you the best.
All I got from this is that them little home DNA test kits aren't working like we thought they did. And shout out to him for saying he still claimed the baby. I'd like to know if he's still gonna claim this baby. And why is the mom tearing up? I mean, she said she didn't think it was his. He should have went with that.
Former cellmates are speaking out. Donovan Baring and Tracy Brown appear in a new Lifetime documentary, Jodi Arias, Cellmate Secrets.
She got away with things that other inmates didn't get away with. She was a very attractive young girl who liked to flirt, and the male guards just ate it up.
They say Arias even took part in a jailhouse striptease, which was recreated for the TV special.
Jodi stood up, took her clothes off, and danced with me.
Tracy was incarcerated for kidnapping. Donovan was charged with accessory to arson. Both ex-cellmates now have permanent reminders of their time in jail with Jodi Arias. Tattoos personally inked and signed by the notorious killer, who made the tattoos using mascara and lead from a pencil, which she sharpened into a needle. Arias also tattooed this delicate crystal on Tracy's chest, but Tracy has since tattooed a butterfly over the original artwork.
Why did you cover it up? I didn't want that constant reminder.
Oh my gosh. Why y'all mad at Jodi? She in there living her best life. I mean, the girl's a flirty Gertie. Like, are these people victims because Jodi was in there using her body to get stuff and giving you guys tattoos? Oh my gosh. She's a freaking killer.
Super meth, stupid name, but what do we know about this drug and why it worries us so much?
Well, I think it's really methamphetamine. Methamphetamine is methamphetamine. But I think what's happening coming out of Mexico right now is that the Mexican trafficking world now is making meth a different way than it has in the past. In the last 10 years, they've had to switch to a new kind of central ingredient, precursor ingredient, known as P2P, phenyl 2-propanone. That chemical is very easily made, and so it allows them, if they control the ports of Mexico, they can get ingredients to make this chemical in staggering quantities. They can get all the chemicals they need to make this drug in quantities that up to now we have never seen in this country, at potencies we have also never seen. Along the way, we have seen the eruption of symptoms of mental illness, schizophrenia, meth-induced psychosis, intense paranoia, horrible delusions, hallucinations, and this accompanies this meth where as it marches across the country over the last 8 or 10 years. Along with that is I believe it's become a major driving force in the creation of homelessness. And not only homelessness, creating homeless people, it's also keeping people who may be homeless for many, many other reasons. It's also keeping them on the street, because once you're on the street, this drug is so prevalent that everybody, you kind of gradually migrate to using it. And once you begin using it, it's very difficult to get off the street.
Super meth. They got super meth, y'all. Super meth.
Just tell me when you're wrong. Ready? I do not. And let me tell you, I don't come by that lightly. Whenever a gun is involved, of course, anybody who is around a gun has to exercise a very heightened duty of care to their fellow man. However, this isn't Alec Baldwin at a dinner party seeing a gun and picking it up and playing around with it. This is an actor whose job specifically is to have the gun that someone else's job is to take care of making sure that it doesn't have live rounds on it. That is specifically that person's job. So it makes sense to me that person was charged, but then when there's nothing but evidence saying that it was handed to him and he was told that it was safe and it was not loaded, what duty of care did he have beyond that when that's how the whole thing is set up? If he was a bit actor, he wouldn't have been charged. He was charged because he's Alec Baldwin. And so when the prosecutor says, this is to show nobody's above the law, that actually feels to me like politics was completely involved in this. Because if he had been a bit actor, he would never have been charged.
Well, I agree with her. I mean, he didn't purposely kill the woman, but it's just wild that that even happened. That's crazy.
This woman thought she could finesse.
Anything that would harm them.
Or could you think of why someone would want to kidnap a couple of little kids unless there was some ransom or something involved?
No, I have no idea why the suspect why he even took the children and why he has not released them yet. We have no knowledge whatsoever.
I think it takes a very sick and emotionally unstable person to be able to take two beautiful children like that. I can't imagine why anybody would want to do such a thing as what has happened.
Susan Smith has been arrested and will be charged with 2 counts of murder in connection with the deaths of her children.
In reality, Smith let her car roll down a boat ramp into this lake with her 2 boys still strapped in their car seats in the back. The reason, according to authorities, she was having an affair with a man who didn't want children.
So, yeah, that was that case back in the 90s where she said a black man had kidnapped her sons during a carjacking. Her defense attorney, David Brooke and Judy Clark, called expert witnesses to testify that she had mental health issues that impaired her judgment when she committed the crime. She was sentenced to life in prison, and she's eligible for parole after 30 years, and she's up for parole in 2024. That's how long ago this was. This lady clearly does have mental issues. I'm just reading something about it. One newspaper claimed that sexual relationships between them had continued until 6 months before the murder. After graduating from high school in 1989, Smith made a second attempt to kill herself after a married man she was in a relationship ended their affair. She then married David Smith, and they too had 2 sons. The relationship was rocky due to mutual allegations of infidelity, and they separated several times. My thing is, I feel like the husband should have been charged too, because he was it just kind of seemed like he was aware of what his wife was doing as far as that whole thing with the children. It's very interesting.
My name is Bill, and I'd love to tell you about how I became a survivor of being pimped by both of my parents, and also how I survived being incested by both of them. I was born in the city of Memphis, Tennessee in the year 1976. I was reared up in a very religious home in that, we couldn't go to the movies, we couldn't dance, my sister couldn't wear pants. Father was an ordained evangelist of this national church that we were a part of, the largest African-American church in a Pentecostal organization. They taught the wives to take whatever they had to take in order to stay married. But my mother believed that she was a national mother of the church. So she offered her children, me and my sister, to my father to be his sexual slaves. There were things that we went through that I couldn't imagine any child going through that. My father, he was bisexual. He was a cross-dresser. My earliest memories around the age of 4. He started by coming in and massaging my leg. And then maybe the next time was my leg in my private area. Then he wanted to perform on me as a child. And then it went into, me performing on him. And I also went through a situation where I was, he was having prison sex with me very often. My sister went through some of the same things, but she went through, to me, it's even worse because eventually she had to have several abortions because of this. And she also was molested by one of his brothers, who also was a minister of the church. Eventually, our mother started having sex with us also. So you would think a mom would intervene and stop this and let's get away, let's run. No, she eventually wanted to share. I know she liked to do that when he was not there, or when he went away to someone's house, or there were times when he left her. There were times where they were separated and he was gone. He was at a woman's house or man's house, and there were times where she wanted molester. So, I mean, it's just, I can't find no other way to say it. You know, we went from being sexual slaves at home to going to church and being pimped to pastors. The church itself has well over 5 million members worldwide. It's a large church, and it breaks down into states, and the states break down into jurisdictions. Jurisdictions break down in districts, and then you have a local church. So you got the pastor, you got the superintendent, you got the bishop, and that's pretty much how it's structured. I mean, we were pimped to several bishops in the church. Our father, his role was an evangelist. He was licensed as an evangelist. He traveled around. He preached in different churches every Sunday, every other Sunday, or whoever invited him. So we would travel with him to these churches. He would either offer us to be molested, be sexually abused by the pastor of this church, either before, after, or during service at some point. It was either of us, or some were sick enough to like to sexually molest both of us. So we were molested, you know, in these different places where he went to preach. You know, my mother, she would go and sing a song, and me and my sister, we were sent to the pastor's office. And you know what happens. Like I said, it was a very critical time, very hard time as a kid. Well, the abuse for me went on from the age of 4 up until the age of 12 or 13. So you go from, you know, being a child that could hardly understand sex, you know, don't know anything about sex. Then you get older, you know exactly what's going on, you know what's going to happen. We had a so-called, yes, a normal life in the sense of going to school every day. We went to public school. That was normal in that sense, but the abuse happened, you know, overnight. I can't say that I told anyone. Obviously, I didn't tell a lot of people, because, you know, some people didn't find out about it until I started talking about 10 or so years ago. I didn't think to tell a teacher, because we were seen as important anyway. We were just 2 little black kids growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, an impoverished government community of government apartments. You would think as a teacher, teachers could tell something was going on, but you know, they didn't care. Our voices weren't really heard. Growing up, I remember my room, and I remember going to my room, and I remember where all the pimping began was there were men standing outside my window wanting to get inside my bedroom, because obviously my father had told them, you can come into this room and you can have sex with my sons. You would think that this right here would be traumatic, but I mean, it just got worse and worse and worse. I remember feeling numb a lot as a kid. You can get to the point where it happens so much until you just like are dead. But I remember coming just like...
That's wild. So this man, his name is Bill Haley. If you want to... the story is also on YouTube. He grew up in a religious family that forced him and his sister to do numerous heinous sexual activities, and he was able to survive. But man, I can only imagine. You know, shout out to him for sharing such a crazy, terrible story. But you know, this happens a lot, and a lot of people don't speak on this stuff. You know, what happens in with these parents, and just the things that get covered up, and unfortunately in the churches. I mean, shoot, man, it's happening. You cannot trust people. I mean, just because they're in leadership roles, do not, you know. But I know these people are definitely going to hell for sure.
I just kind of like you to kind of tell us what happened. I feel like my mom and her she made one selection. Is there a reason why you did that? Yes. Well, can you tell me why? No, sure. You can't tell me why? No, sure. Is it a reason you don't know why you did it, or you just don't want to tell? I didn't know why I did that. Just let me tell. Okay. I killed her at around 11 p.m., I think. And I think she went to sleep at around 9 o'clock. Okay. When you killed her, what about your brother? Was there with you too, right? That's only shit. I was kind of expecting the fire to kill him. Oh, you were? Okay.
So that dude sounds exactly and looks exactly like Sling Blade, but that is Zachary Davis. He bludgeoned his mother and tried to burn his brother alive. He had a history of mental disturbance. This happened back in 2012. He went into a tailspin after his father passed away. He just started doing some crazy stuff and ended up, he said he was hearing voices. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and he became more and more withdrawn. And they just don't know if he had mental illness or he was pure evil. I gotta stop. I'm telling y'all, stay woke, my man. Him and his mother had went to a movie together. When they returned and packed several items into a backpack and satchel, including clothing, notebooks, a toothbrush, glove, a ski mask, and a claw hammer on the outside. It could have seemed as though Zachary was going to run away from home, but on the inside, something far more sinister came into play. Melanie went to bed. When she was asleep, Zachary retrieved the sledgehammer from the basement and entered his mother's room. He bludgeoned her to death and struck her nearly 20 times, then drenched her in blood. Zachary closed the door and went into the family game room and drenched that in whiskey and gasoline. Before setting it aflame, he shut the door and fled the house. He had intended to kill his brother Josh in the fire, but because he closed the door to the game room, the fire did not spread immediately, and older brother was consequently awoken by the fire alarm. When he went to retrieve his mother, he found her a bloody mess. So, yeah. Yeah. The dark side of the moon, my man.
So I was going to ask you, Lala was here last week, and she was talking about she likes African men because African men spend money on their women. Now, Nene also has an African man, and Nene says the same. So we're asking you, is it something that the culture, why is that?
I think it's part of our culture and upbringing. Like, you need to be the man of the house. You need to take care of the home. So that translates into how we deal with, our women as well. Honestly speaking, that's where I know it stems from. Yeah. And that gives you a certain amount of control, not in a bad way.
Yeah, the control that no one wants.
Yeah, that's why I said not in a bad way. It gives you a certain amount of control. I'm just being very honest all across boards, because different people do things for different reasons. As much as some men would want to be, taking care of you so they can keep you and have you and
control you.
Be with you.
And control you.
Damn, control is the word?
Well, that would never happen over here.
Okay.
Like, I'm uncontrollable. Yeah. Okay. But I do feel like Africans, want a certain amount of control. They do.
I mean, they have to be in charge. That's how I would say it, because that's what a man has to be. Like, as
I'm
far
okay
as I
with
know,
the man being in charge.
It's not about the woman being dull or anything, but we love to have women who are like respectful, submissive, supportive, and then you still, they consult you, like they treat you as, it's general, like men love to be respected, so I think that's just how it is for African.
Now, when you said submissive, what does that mean? Can I see Nene go, so what is
I'm submissive.
Exactly.
I am.
Like, I think it's very cool to be submissive. I am so attracted. I respect women who are not like you're being abused. No, none of that. But there's beauty in that for me. Like, it's like you being a woman. If you're over the top, I see you as another man.
Damn.
Is it over the top you see me? Wait a minute, you gotta say that again.
Damn.
So wait a minute, say it again. If you're over the top, you see it as a woman.
No. I see you as another man. It's okay.
But it's gotta be both ways, though, right? Like, doesn't the man have to be submissive to his woman as well?
Yeah, but
in certain aspects.
Definitely. Yeah. Submission from a man is actually, I think, showing love. And being, like you say, like stemming it from the African man conversation, submission would be him being, taking care of, listening to the woman's problems. Like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that. Okay, I'll sit you down. How do you want to get it done? That for me is like attention, because women love attention, and men have to see them humble and submissive,
Well, the African men got the bags, ladies. You just gotta submit a little bit,
I like booty. When I see one,
And he looks good to me. When I go see him, I say, you come here. I say, I'm telling you what, I like you, and I want you. And we can do it the easy way or the hard way. So the choice is yours, right? And it was always yes.
So this was a snippet of this jail show they did in the back where this dude was like, you know, he's the guy you don't want to meet in prison, but yeah, he's taking booty, and they decided to replay it because the guy's up for parole. I don't know if he'll get parole, but he might. You just never know. Let's do this one. It's one more.
In America, don't get no older than about 14.
Hey, stop it.
So just talk to.
We gotta listen to what she said. She said the average black woman in America, because many of our sisters that are raised in other countries, they're raised with certain principles, certain morals, how to take care of a household, how to wash, cook, clean. Like, you have to do manual labor. You don't have many countries. Besides European countries, women could do whatever they want in Esau's countries. But in a lot of the countries like Africa, the Caribbean, things of that nature, young sisters are raised, especially countryside. I'll say that. Not city girls.
Right.
Countryside. Ain't no nail salons. There ain't none of that. So your main focus is not your outward adorning.
Right.
It's learning how to maintain and sustain that house, that your future husband can be proud to come home because you're taking care of what you're supposed to take care of.
Right.
But so it says the average woman in America, the black woman, Babylon has effed our sisters up. Yep. I'm gonna tell you straight, and we go over this all the time. Sisters are like children. Sisters are like children. If there's any husband who want to zoom in to say any different,
they need a link first, Cap. They need a link first.
Wait, Cap looked at you over his glasses. That's how you know it's real. They need to zoom in.
I don't know. I mean, I agree to a certain extent, but I think it comes with how you're raised and parenting and lineage and all that. I was raised to be able to cook and clean at a young age and how to write checkbooks and all those things. Not because that was how we were raised. So I think it has to do a lot with the structure, but I do know that there are a lot of people, I mean, and music is promoted. I mean, look at Cardi sings, I don't cook, I don't clean, blah, 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 blah. And although she does cook and clean in real life for her husband, but people take that to heart and they kind of just feel like, oh, I just need to be pretty and I don't need to know anything else, which is far from the truth, ladies and gents, because as I state all the time, we are in a recession. Also, if something happens to your spouse, how are you going to provide? You don't want to pimp yourself out. You could try to get you an African, but those African men love some home-cooked meals, I'm just saying. Yeah. I lean either way on that. I mean, I can only speak for black women that I know. In my age range, most of us have skills, but I know a lot of them that don't. So I don't know. F is for Family is signing out, y'all. This was a long one, but we have some interesting stories today. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.